Okay, let's start. I will open the room now.
Hello, Amin. We are opening up the room. Give us a few seconds.
Okay, sure.
Good morning, everyone. Give us a second. We are getting all the sounds off so that we have only sound on the cell phone. Suren is here. Strategy for me to bring in.
Yeah, well, one sec. So as you see, like we have also a lot of other people supporting us today. So we'll be broadcasting on different channels. Thank you very much for joining us. So we have a very special guest and friend, Celine. She will be talking about very interesting topic today. It's about like disaster recovery plan. And I will provide just a few ideas about the AI perspective, how that can be integrated. But thank you very much, Celine. It's very interesting to hear from you. So the floor is yours. Please.
Thank you very much. So I am Celine. I am an engineer, an MBA, and I work in high tech in America. And throughout the hour here, I'm going to share a few stories and some statistics. The objective here is to ensure that we raise your awareness that danger is around the corner. But most importantly, we want you to understand that there is something you can do about it. You are all powerful. You can do something about it. So here is one story. My friend was a successful businessman. He was working around the clock. He started businesses in multiple continents. The businesses did very well. Today, he is in his early 70s and he has retired. Unfortunately, he cannot enjoy his retirement because he has a massive heart attack. Everything he worked for, he cannot enjoy it because of that heart attack. He was an avid tennis player. He was not playing tennis anymore. All he was doing was working. The idea of working without stopping and without taking care of your health basically put what you work for in jeopardy. So I'm going to stop here and get Suren to ask one quick question so that we can lead it. And we are inviting you on the floor to share your experience and also ask questions so we can direct that conversation towards your needs. I am Celine and I am done talking.
Thank you very much, Celine. I would really love to hear like your personal stories about how the like overall disaster recovery is affecting your productivity, like directly or indirectly affecting your day-to-day life. So if any of you would like to speak up, we will be very happy to hear your personal story. Thank you.
So here is mine. At age 15, I was diagnosed with depression and I was not working on it. I was not dealing with it. The way I dealt with it was work and work and work and work on very complicated stuff. And I came to America where I did an MBA and I was working in high tech. Bell Communication Research, Bellcore, was the research and development for all of telecommunication in America and the whole world. So you see how high tech I could be. And my last career was for a healthcare IT company, one of the biggest pharma and healthcare IT company in the world actually. I was flying high, was working extremely hard, and was appreciated by my management. The more they liked me, the more I worked. What happened was I collapsed. What do I mean by collapsing? What do I mean by that mental burnout? It meant that I was deflated. I couldn't produce anymore. I couldn't be creative. I was tired. I was not sleeping. I was useless for anybody. I was useless for anybody, to myself. The work couldn't be done because I couldn't function. I was unhappy, I was sad, I was deeply depressed, and I was even suicidal, to tell you how far that thing will go. So imagine all the loss that happened in there. Why? Because I was not taking care of myself. I lost a lot of money because it costs a lot of money to recover from this type of things. So that's why I've made it my journey to help other people understand that the answer is in prevention, and you can do something about it. The answer is in the lifestyle. Did I answer your question?
Yes, completely. Thank you very much. Also, really interesting to share your personal story. What other kind of interesting perspectives you have concerning like how organizations can implement different strategies in their like day-to-day corporate plan, like employee benefit packages? Because I know maybe big organizations at some extent, some departments might have like limited extent, but I want to hear your opinion on how can we kind of make it broader and like bring it to masses, like this approach. I think it's very interesting from the health perspective, everyone, not just the entrepreneurs, but the people working.
Another good question. So, the company has to make wellness really part of the overall strategy. We have to start from the executive leadership team. They have to show that wellness is important to them up to the last person in the company. So this is from a leadership perspective. Now, what are some very concrete things that they can do? Let's look at wellness programs that are brought within the enterprise. Usually, those programs tackle either nutrition or exercise or meditation. What corporations have to understand is wellness has to be whole. We are a whole entities. A good wellness program should take care of the entire person. And let me share with you the pillars that a good wellness program should have. One, nutrition. And what I mean by nutrition, I mean everything that goes in the mouth, food. And that food has to be whole food, plant rich. And we'll talk about that later. Medication, water, alcohol, drugs, tobacco, all of those things that goes in the mouth, we want to make sure only good food and good water goes into the mouth. So the enterprise, when it comes to nutrition, will do the following. During corporate events, instead of bringing junk food to the people, they can bring healthy food. And healthy food, that can mean green salad. There are a lot of vegan restaurants out there serving delicious meals that corporation could bring to their event and make it an option for people who want to eat healthy. The second pillar of the lifestyle is the vaccine. So you want a program that enables employees to exercise, that tell employees that they have to go and get some sun, do the vitamin D. If they don't have sun, like it is in the Pacific Northwest, they have to look at taking some pills. And a good wellness program should also focus on sleep. Sleep is a big pillar. There is no reason to be burning the midnight candles over and over and over. Anybody who is not sleeping properly, in the long run, is going to impact their health, and Alzheimer is around the corner. We'll talk about that later. The third pillar of a good wellness program encompasses mind and spirit. We have to help employees do meditation. Corporations are trying to do a good job at that. Meditation, prayers, connection to the divine. And the fourth pillar is what I call connectedness, which is how are employees connected to the environment? We need to bring somebody to talk to them about forgiveness, to talk to them about self-compassion. And the fifth pillar of a good wellness program has to do with life purpose, meaning the job. Employees functions of the employees contributing to the burnout? Are you giving them enough time to rest? Are you allowing the employees to work where their strengths are and not stress them on things that are not good for them? Have this conversation with your employees so you can reduce the stress. And the last pillar of a good wellness program is the environment, nature. Make sure that when you do your get together, your team building, take your employees out so that you guys can do work in nature and enjoy nature. Suren, I'm going to stop here and see if you have any questions so that we take it another the direction you would like to take it to.
Thank you very much, Celine. I would honestly would like to hear also from our audience. I see Stacy was one of the most active members. Maybe Stacy, would you like to ask some questions? Maybe share some thoughts. Any of you guys, like if you would like to raise your hand and come to the audience, we'll be happy to hear from you. I think they are just interested to hear your thoughts, Celine. I know there are some effects that are happening also. Oh, okay, John just joined us. John, thank you for joining.
Yeah, hi, how you doing?
Great, thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, I went on the whole food, plant-based lifestyle a couple years ago, and I lost about 40 pounds in the first 6 months, and then I was on a plateau for about a year, and then I lost another 20. But I got off cholesterol medication. My doc took me off of that right away, and then I was in a study with a private company for biomarkers to determine the probability of getting chronic diseases, diabetes and heart disease and everything. And I found that over the period of, every 6 months they would take blood and they would take your sputum and your feces samples, and then they would run these lab tests, and you either get a red, green, or yellow light based on for each marker. And I found that things that became increasingly green in terms of all my lab results from eating the whole food plant-based lifestyle. And just wondering if there's anything else I should be doing to prevent heart disease.
Thank you very much for your question, John. Yeah, really very interesting story. Honestly, thanks for bringing it up. So I'm sure Celine has some interesting thoughts there. So Celine, I would like you to take this one. Thank you.
Thank you very much, John, for sharing. This is great that you started on the whole food plant-based nutrition. This is fantastic. In addition to the nutrition, you want to make sure that you also exercise. John, please put yourself on mute.
Okay.
So you want to make sure that you exercise. So exercise is key. You also want to make sure that you develop a sleep hygiene. You have to sleep at least 7 hours, and we can talk more about the sleep. And you have to work on your emotions and do some meditation, do some prayers, and work on forgiveness. Work on all the other aspects of your lifestyle. So John, let me ask you the following question. Which one of your lifestyle, where do you have a challenge when it comes to the different pillars of the lifestyle outside of the nutrition, so that I can drill down and give you some tips on what it is that you can do?
I think John's microphone. John, are you able to unmute yourself?
You have to unmute yourself to speak.
Yeah, I think his microphone has a problem. No. Let me try to make him a moderator.
Here we go.
Yeah.
I got it. Okay. So
Okay.
basically, what about exercise? I think I probably could use some help with that.
question. So when it comes to exercise, what we teach for people who are doing wellness is you do not have to become a gym rat. You want to make sure you move your body. You do some brisk walk. You lift a little bit of weight. You do some stretching, some strengthening. And what we recommend also, and this is where AI is going to come into play, is to make sure that you measure your heart rate, the strength, the kind of power you're putting into that exercise, so that every single day you can increase what it is that you are doing. Swimming, for example, is a great exercise because it moves the entire body. However, some people are going to tell me, but we are in the office, what do we do? In your office, for example, like in mine, I have a trampoline, so I will jump. I have some weights that I will lift in there to do the muscles. The research is showing that your exercise doesn't have to be 1 hour continuous. Every 15-minute increment is good. And please do not sit in the office. Take the habit of also standing. Stand up, walk, and take the printer a little bit far away so that you move that body. John, did that answer that question when it comes to exercise?
Yeah, you really did. Thank you so much, Celine. That was amazing. And I'm not going to be able to be in this because I don't have a sustained connection, but I want to make sure. How do I make sure I connect with you and this doctor in the future on these talks?
Another good question. You can DM me, and you can find us on LinkedIn, and I'll let Dr. Suren give you a better connection for the future.
Sure, John. Thank you very much. I will make sure to share your contacts with Celine after the call. I have your contact, so I will be sharing it. We will definitely connect together. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
And then you can stay in the audience. Like maybe there's another aspect as you literally was living all that yourself. It's very interesting. So I encourage you to stay with us if you want in the audience, so we can.
I'll stay as long as I have a connection.
Sure, sounds great.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, John. We have another great friend, Vernida, joining us. I'm pretty sure Vernida Adel has interesting story to share. So would you like to come to the audience, Vernida?
I have invited her. Let's reset the room.
Oh,
This room in
okay.
here is to share with professionals, entrepreneurs, founders, the importance of having wellness as part of the disaster recovery plan. Why are we linking wellness to disaster recovery plan? Usually, when you have your company, you are planning for the law changes changing. You are planning for all the other disasters that are coming there, that you don't really think of wellness as a disaster to plan for. And the reason why you should plan for it is know that every 36 seconds, an American is dying from a cardiovascular disease. 4 seconds later, one is having a heart attack. And those heart attacks, 1 in 5 has already created some collateral damage in all the organs of the body. And let's look a little bit at the cost. One of the direct costs for that heart attack could cost as low as 21,000 to more than 1 million. So now, let's pause a little bit and look at yourself as a business owner. If that heart attack happened to you, what you have worked for is gone. Now, let's say it doesn't happen to you. It happened to one of your employees. Here is the story that I got. I have this lady, the CEO of a cocoa transformation plant. She creates cocoa liquor, cocoa powder. She sells it to Hershey's and they all. We talked about that, and she did a program for herself. She called me a couple of weeks ago, very upset. She's like, Celine, you didn't tell me that strong enough, because the main employee who was in charge of one of the most complicated machines fell sick. he has to leave for a couple of weeks to recover. She had to shut the plant down. What does it mean, shutting the plant down? It means revenue is going away. Aha! This is a disaster as important as a cable being cut or as the law changing, because this revenue she has to make up for it. What could she have done? What this man was suffering from was a chronic disease. Chronic diseases are perfectly preventable and reversible. It is in the lifestyle. Had this CEO basically brought to her employees education or even some coaching on how to take care of their lifestyle, how to eat properly, sleep properly, do some exercise, manage stress, meditate, her employee will still be there. She wouldn't have had to close her plate for a couple of weeks while waiting. Let me stop here and give you actually one other number. A research from Harvard University has shown that employees who are in bad health have a 46% decline of productivity. Let me translate that sentence. It means that employees that you have out there who are sick, you are paying them and they're giving you only 50% of what you are paying. This is very expensive. I am pausing here and passing the floor to the doctor for him to say something or ask a question so that we drill some more.
Thank you very much, Celine. Yeah, it's really very hard. Kind of the statistics shows it all. So it's obviously like 50% reduction in the overall productivity, which is terrible, really, from the economic perspective. As myself being a PhD in economics, like I can understand it's really terrible. Like if it continues on a long term, especially. So I know that there are also certain consumption routines, like for example, for annual sugar and annual oil, fats, or other important vitamins, nutrients that are affecting our day-to-day lifestyle as well. So I would love to hear your thoughts about kind of those components, how they will affect our lifestyle.
Oh, wonderful question. Let's take white sugar. And let's look at a little bit of historical data. In 1900, Americans were consuming 5 pounds of sugar per person per year. Suren, let me ask you, how many pounds of white sugar do you think Americans are consuming today? Let me ask that question to see.
Wow, interesting question. Maybe 10 times more, maybe 10 times more, 15, because long time difference. We compare previously and nowadays, maybe like 10, 15 times more.
Americans are consuming today per person more than 190 pounds of sugar per person. Somebody's consuming much more because I do not consume it. And that white sugar and sugar in general is hidden in plain sight. When you are drinking that soda, you are consuming liquid sugar. When you are eating those cakes, you are consuming white sugar. And oh, by the way, things like brown sugar, agave syrup, and all of those things are still, your body treat them as white sugar, and they are as disastrous to your body as white sugar. And the impact of that white sugar on your body is awful. Once you understand that impact, immediately you are going to look for ways to reduce it. It causes the first attack is on the liver. And then imagine the metabolic syndrome. When you see people going out there who gain weight, look where the fat is, around that belly. It's the excess consumption of white sugar. So the fat is going all over the place. And oh, by the way, according to the research, this is one of the number one enemy of the brain. Alzheimer is knocking at all of our doors. Are we going to open that door? Or are we going to learn where the enemy is when it comes to the food? So white sugar, my favorite book actually is from a doctor, an English doctor, a book that he wrote in the early 90s called Pure, White and Deadly. White sugar, ladies and gentlemen, is as addictive as cocaine.
Wow.
It is as addictive as cocaine. That's why it's so hard to get rid of. So, but there is something you can do. You have options when it comes to that. Yes, Suren, white sugar is as addictive as cocaine. Let me stop here and take your next question.
Thank you very much, Celine. Yeah, I didn't know. I knew that there's some sort of addiction. Especially, I know Coca-Cola and other drinks. They have some sort of additions like to the drinks that causes like addiction. I was literally talking to the employees there, so I'm pretty sure they are adding some additives that are causing that kind of effect. So the second question was like about other components that you can think that are gonna affect our day-to-day routine, like for example oils and fats. Do you see some negative or positive developments in that? Maybe there's some positive developments that in America maybe people started using more consciously. Like I just would like to hear your opinion on that as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Suren. Let's go back a little bit to sugar and the soda. By the way, by law, we cannot say the name, otherwise they have the power to sue us. And actually, I'll be so happy for them to sue me because I don't have money and it could be publicity so that we can bring the message to more people. So let's take that soda. Here is what they do with the soda. When you eat salty things, immediately you want to drink because salt makes you dehydrated. You want to drink more. So what they do in the soda, they pack in a lot of salt. And in addition to the salt, the way to get, nobody wants to drink salty water. So they add the sweetener to cover the taste of the salt. So now you have the salt that makes you want to drink more, and you are ingesting now more of those aspartame, high corn fructose syrup and white sugar, basically destroying your body. And you keep on drinking and drinking and drinking. That's the reason why when you look at people going to those fast food stores and they take the big soda, you say that can they drink it all? Yes, they can drink it all because they are thirsty. Thirsty because of the amount of salt they are consuming. So let me pause here, take your feedback on that one there, and I'm going to answer the question on the other food to worry about.
Thank you very much, Celine. If our dear audience has any questions or would like to raise their hand and ask a question, I see Mari joining us. I would love to hear from Mari also, like her personal story. Mari, would you like to speak up?
Yes, hello everybody.
Hey, thank you.
Can you reset the room about the what are you talking about?
Celine, would you provide a reset so Mari is also on topic? Thank you.
So we are talking about including wellness as part of a disaster recovery plan. We are telling professionals, founders, entrepreneurs that their wellness has to be part of a disaster recovery plan because the price for it is enormous. You pay for it today or you pay for it in the future. And we are sharing the fact that the lifestyle, paying attention to one lifestyle on a day-to-day basis is the answer to prevent and or reverse those chronic diseases that will destroy somebody's dream. So the floor is yours to share a story on a disaster that you've seen in your workplace or that you've seen, or ask a question and we'll be more than happy to answer your question.
Mari, it's basically like the also consumption patterns, like that humans started consuming more oil, fat, like sugar, so it overall affects the your health basically. So on that perspective, what can you tell us, maybe in France or anywhere else, like that you noticed that kind of developments?
But can we talk about burnout, mental issues in work?
Sure.
Okay, so Mary, so when it comes to burnout in the office, you have to divide it in two. There is the burnout comes from you as an individual and where you can do something about it, and there is a burnout created by the culture in the company. Is this company creating meetings, back-to-back meetings, making people work long hours, no hygiene of work, nothing in there. So this is one source of burnout. But what we want to address today is the burnout that is linked to your lifestyle. So if you are not sleeping properly, if you are not eating properly, if you are not sleeping properly, if you are not exercising, if you are stressed out because of your bad relationship with others, if you add all of that thing and a huge workload, you are going to burn out. And how does it happen, that burnout? You have the chronic diseases that will creep up because you are not taking care of yourself. But the mental burnout happen with you can be depressed. You can develop depression, which, by the way, enable you to be in good mood. You can also be so deflated. You cannot think. You cannot concentrate. You cannot do anything for that company, and you see your productivity going down. So what do you do about that? You have two things to do. We have the company has to change some of the policies when it comes to workload, but you as an individual have to work on your lifestyle when it comes to what you choose to put in your mouth, your amount of sleep, your relationship and others, to prevent and reverse those burnouts. Let me stop there and see if you have any more questions on what area you'd like us to drill in. So, for instance, thank you very much. I want to look at the coronavirus situation. But in France, for instance, you have the choice to go to work and you have the choice to stay at home. Some people prefer to go to work with the risk of being, anyway, with some kind of risks. But how do you those who want to stay at home, how do you think it's better to go to work or to stay at home to work? Marie, vous parlez français? Oui. Très bien. Donc je vais répondre à cette question en français. C'est un choix personnel. Bon, je vais laisser profiter l'audience, donc je vais parler en anglais. Okay, I'm going to switch back to English so that everybody could benefit from that. So when it comes to the COVID-19, it is a very delicate situation. So for the people, and everybody has to make the choice based on the country they are in and their own risk assessment. If a corporation has given to its employees the choice to work at home or to come to the office, it becomes the employee's choice looking at all the risks. Now, if you choose to stay at home, it is your responsibility to ensure that you stay healthy. What are you eating when you are home? Are you how are you managing your stress when you are at home? How are you setting up your workspace when you are at home? Have you turned your entire home into an office, or have you dedicated a space of this place, of this home, as an office? Have you set up boundaries to say, here is my schedule, I'm going to work from X to X, and after that I am disconnecting? At home, if the country said you cannot go out, are you trying to exercise? You can go on YouTube, find some exercise to jump, to get a little bit of cardio going. Are you trying to have fun? Are you reading? Are you watching movies? Are you doing your music, dancing? What are you doing? We want you to do something with your lifestyle so that while you are at home, under that stressful country environment, you can still function and function properly. Did I answer that question for you, Mary, or should I do some more? No, it's very clear. It's very clear, but people who are working at home are complaining that there is no boundary between their private life and the laptop and office. That's another issue. But I think it's okay. I understand that it's a private, it's a personal responsibility anyway to find a good style of life. I understand that, but it's very difficult. And this is where corporations have to give some coaching to the employees to help the employees determine and understand that they need to have a clear separations between their private life and their professional life. Sometimes, and I am guilty of that myself, my work is my passion. So for me, there is no difference. However, I set some boundaries. It's clear when I start and when I stop. Okay? And I do something else. Find things that you are passionate about. Is it the movies? Watch movies. If they're your children, do things with your children. That the boundaries that we're talking about is there is a time to start and a time to stop, and the practice of that thing called self-compassion, taking care of oneself. And self-compassion is not just saying that, oh, I need to do my hair, or I need to get some nail polish or some massage. Self-compassion is that inner talk. Include the inner talk. What am I telling myself? How kind am I to myself? How loving I am to myself? And when you are practicing those self-compassion approach, immediately you realize that, working 80 hours because you are home is not healthy. And you tell yourself, is it what Mary wants to do to Mary? The answer is going to be no. So the practice of self-compassion during this time at home with COVID is very, very needed, more than ever. Let me stop here. Mary, did that answer your question? Yes. And MGM, Benega, Flali, Stacy, Houseman, we would love to have your question, would love for you to contribute, because there is not a single great answer. All of us could contribute to the conversation. I am Celine and I'm done talking. Mary, back to you. Yes, I really agree, because anyway, I know at my work, they put, we have a psychologist. So we can call her and talk to her if we do have any problem. I hope, Mary, that you are taking full-blown advantage of that psychologist. Yes, yes. Okay. Any other question, Mary, do you have? Okay.
And MGM?
MGM would like to come up.
Yeah.
So let's do that.
MGM, the floor is yours. Thank you for joining.
Thank you very much. Thanks for bringing me up. Good afternoon to everyone. I pretty much joined this while you were in the middle of speaking to Marie. And if I can just, sort of catch the theme, it's about this COVID, about our mental health, our physical health, and how we recover from it. Am I understanding the topic right?
Thank you, MGM. The topic is why employers, founders, professionals, entrepreneurs should include wellness as part of the disaster recovery plan, by saying if they don't take care of their wellness, which is more than nutrition, it is basically the entire lifestyle, the cost for it is going to be very high, direct and indirect, short-term and long-term. So if you have a desire, so we talk about the importance of taking care of wellness for an enterprise or for an individual.
Oh, thank you for clarifying that. Yeah, certainly. I'm based in the UK, and my view of this, I think there's already a terrible damage that's going on. Despite the physical was a massive disaster, and I think we're recovering from it through the vaccinations, through social distancing. That I don't think was the greatest pandemic, and I don't think it's going to be the most difficult to recover from. And I think you're quite right that employers, people of responsibility need to take well into care of as part of the recovery plan, the mental health, the physical, and the well-being of their employees, because without that, obviously, if they don't have their workforce, they can't perform well. But then my biggest fear, or think the biggest challenge would be the mental health one. The physical, I think each of us can get up, can walk. Well, now that depends on various. It varies from person to person. One might want to do a 10K, one might want to do a 5K daily, weekly, monthly, whatever. I think the physical, whilst it's important, because if you've got a healthy body, you've got probably will have a healthy mind. The mental health, the isolation, not seeing colleagues, not socializing. My dad had always this funny saying, man is gregarious by nature, and tantamount to man is not an island. So this isolation has really driven people to the wall, and I think people will have a lot of mental health, and if we don't tackle that, I think there's a huge disaster far beyond the COVID, far beyond whatever challenges that we've had. So I think more than ever, it's the mental wellness that employees, owners, or whoever, persons in authority, really need to invest in, work it, and make sure people adjust to that, because it's a silent thing, it's a killer. I lost my wife to mental health. She was depressed and all that stuff. And it's one thing that is just, you can't see it. When you're physically coughing or not well, you can tell, you can be diagnosed. But mental health or a challenge of your mentality it's at another level. So I totally agree, and I think each of us need, I think like you had said, I can't see Celine. You had mentioned about we need to take care of ourselves. Are we eating well? Are we exercising? Are we reading? Are we listening to songs? Have those sessions of your life that will develop you. I think it is very, very of paramount importance to put it in the disaster recovery plan. I'm done speaking, and I'm Marius.
Marius, I am deeply sorry that you lost your wife to a nasty disease called depression. I am deeply, deeply, deeply sorry. So you will understand why I am doing the work that I am doing. I was diagnosed with depression when I was 15, and
I'm sorry to hear that.
I almost killed myself, even though I have access to all the medical doctors and all. And by understanding the importance of the lifestyle in the depression was instrumental. So I am going to share with you here how they are all intertwined. Okay? So with my story, when I burn out and have that mental burnout and the depression kicked in so that I became suicidal, I was one hand close to killing myself. That day, I am blessing the Lord that there was a voice that came that said, call my sister. And I called her, and she said, where is your husband? And I is not home. She's like, I'm staying here. Please don't hang up. And keep on talking. Keep making noise. And while she was on the phone with me, she has her fingers to dial 911. Okay? And when I changed my lifestyle, adapting the principle of what is called the lifestyle medicine, all the pillars, within a couple of weeks, it was as if there were scales on my eyes that were being lifted.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, I did that lifestyle change for high blood pressure and high cholesterol. How come the mental, the emotional is benefiting from that. And I did the research, and bingo, they're all intertwined. So let me share with you some of the research. One of the doctors that you may want to research, his name is Dr. Neil Nedley. He even has a book called Depression. DM me, I'll send you the book. Depression, the Way Out. Okay? So, let's look at all the things that impact our mental health. Nutrition. When it comes to the nutrition, there is something called arachidonic acid. That arachidonic acid prevents the brain from absorbing the serotonin, which is the feel-good hormone. And that arachidonic acid, do you know where you find it? You find it solely in animal products.
Okay.
Très bien. Then you also find it in junk food.
Oh, wow. Oh my God.
When the food is all processed, there is no nutrient in it. You create all of those challenges for the brain, and I'm not going to get into all the complicated names. But you look at that, you're like, wow, no wonder. After I start eating dairy, which is animal food, meat, which is animal food, but I also start eating anything that is processed, my mood was there. So let's stay let's stay again on that. So from a nutrition perspective, we consume a lot of oil. Those plant oil or those oil have a lot of omega-6. The ratio omega-6, omega-3 is not what our body needs. We need more omega-3s. So I was not having quality omega-3s for my brain. So now I am eating omega-3s, but I'm finding that in my food. Where is the fish getting his omega-3? From the algae. So I don't have to drink fish oil. I can go eat some algae to get the omega-3. There is another thing in our food that is wonderful. It's called tryptophan. Tryptophan is the sleep hormone. People eating turkey, they fall asleep because of tryptophan, but you don't have to go eat turkey for the tryptophan. You find them in your dark green leafy vegetables. You find them in your nactin seeds, your flax seeds, your chia seeds, and that. So when you balance that nutrition properly, you have one leg on depression. But nutrition by itself is not enough. You have to exercise. Exercise is there, and when you exercise, your body has to you need to move that heart rate a little bit, and that is not enough. You have to sleep. Okay. And that is not enough. You have to work on your relationship. Forgiveness, Marius, is a poison. It's unbelievable that it is when we look at what is causing depression, sometimes go look at how much unforgiveness is in the heart of the person, and work with the person to work on there are plenty of books written on that. So you see that our lifestyle has an impact on our mental health, and they are all intertwined. You cannot just pick one and say, oh, all I'm doing is prayers. This was what I was doing. I'm Catholic. I used to go to Mass I go to Mass every single morning, but it is not enough. You have to work on all the aspects of the lifestyle. Let me pause here and see if I have intrigued Bernida and Flawley, and if MGM and Trisha, if you have questions, and I'll take it where you'd like to take it.
It's very interesting, Celine. Very, very interesting. All you said, and I concur to that. Lost my wife in 2015. Funny you touched about forgiveness and all that stuff. It was really devastating. But somehow, through God's grace, it was that I believe that it wasn't her doing. It had been, it was beyond her. And not one time did I feel, any hate. But I'll be honest, the day it happened, I think briefly, I really thought this was selfish of her. I had two kids. We had two kids. One was 6, one was 10 at that time. But I never was bitter. I always had pleasant memories. Despite, every relationship having its challenges, never did I feel I wanted to go back in any of our dark places, it's always been beautiful. And I think that really helped me heal very quickly. Exercise. Around that time, I was trying to get her to join the park run. So every Saturday we do a park run with the kids, and it's a 5K run. So that also helped us in terms of, mental health, physical health, and all that stuff. And of course, I was studying, and I've got a side job. I do accounting as a side piece. Obviously, I was working and all that stuff. So that mentally stimulated. And my faith, and if it wasn't for God, quite honestly, for me, I don't think I would have lived. I would have probably followed what she did take in her life. I probably would have done that the same. But my faith kept me going strong. And then also empathy for the kids, the two kids. It devastates me till today that my mother is still alive. And I've had the pleasure, I've been fortunate to have my mom till this age. I'm turning 44 this year, and my mom's still alive. Both my parents are still alive, and my kids have had to enjoy life without, having the love of a mother, And for me, that made me work twice as hard. Made me so committed. I've always been committed to my kids right from the day they were born, but ever more so committed to them. Nothing would sway me, to them. Partly maybe that's why I've not been able to have another relationship or commit to anybody. But it's the empathy that I've tried to share with the kids and try and do that best. So I can see the connections that you were saying. And it would be interesting. I've DM'd you into your Instagram, and hopefully to catch up with you. But I really appreciate what you've shared. It's just something I would really love to delve in. And if it could help speak to other people, I would certainly love to help them in their journey. My name's Iris, and I'm done speaking. I don't know how to get back to the audience.
Thank you very much, MGM. Yeah, I'm really sorry about your loss, and that's great that you found compassionate lifestyle and you're really helping your family, your kids to grow up. So kudos for that, man. Like, it's really hard. It's really heart touching story. Thank you very much, MGM. I will move you back to the audience now. Thank you so much. Okay, MGM.
So while he's doing that, let us restart the room for Trisha. Welcome. Bernada, thank you for being here. Stacy, I would love for you to come and talk about processed food. Fluffy, thank you for being here. MGM and Mary, thank you for being here to listen to us share our passion. So Suren is passionate about creating business, helping entrepreneurs. And he realized that the entrepreneurs I'm helping, the founders I am helping, I have to help them all the way. We can do all the AI we want,
exactly.
But we also want to make sure that the people are healthy. So he's like, whoa, Celine, come and talk to the people I'm connecting with for them to understand that as we are creating those enterprises, we want our brain to be as sharp as possible. We want our employees to be healthy. We also want to invest in our health for today and for the future. Diseases like, a heart attack doesn't happen suddenly. It builds up. Diseases like type 2 diabetes doesn't happen suddenly. It builds up, and our lifestyle takes us there. So the plea that we are having is to tell founders that wellness should be part of your disaster recovery plan, and the answer is in prevention and the lifestyle. So we will be more than happy to have you on stage to answer your question. So, Suren, you asked a question regarding
oil and fats, consumption and other.
So let's talk about oil. This is very interesting. Let me give some numbers again because I love numbers. In 1900, an American will consume 1 barrel of fat, oil and fat, per year.
Wow, only one bottle, Celine?
Yeah.
Wow.
For what they're doing. Today, they are consuming 19 bottles of oil and fat.
Oh my God, yeah.
That 19 bottles of oil and fat, you have a lot of saturated fat. Where is it coming from? The fat is coming from all the oil, plant-based oil that we're eating, corn oil, peanut oil, you name it, canola oil, it's all in there. All of them are loaded with omega-6, and those omega-6, when you don't have the right ratio of omega-6 and omega-3, you create inflammation in your body. So, the philosophy that I follow is a philosophy by Dr. Cadwell Elselstein, who basically goes say zero oil. And somebody will yell in the audience, even olive oil, and he will say even olive oil. Because at the end of the day, oil is processed food. Let's imagine the following. Peanut. Peanut is a whole. So if I press the peanut, I am going to extract the oil, but all the other things there, the vitamins, the minerals, the fiber, I trash that. So in the whole food plant-based movement, when you want to eat fat, you get it directly from the food without processing. So we will put the olive in my food. Not only do I get the fat, but I get the fiber, I get the minerals, I get the vitamins. If I want peanut oil, I will pick peanuts. I'll eat the whole peanut. I get the fat. It's not because I'm not seeing the fat in peanut that it's not there. If you take one almond, for example, an almond is almost 70% fat. So when you're eating that whole almond, you are eating fat. When you look at avocado, I don't have to go to avocado oil. Avocado by itself is almost 80% fat. It's not because I'm not seeing the fat that it's not there. It is there. So I will eat the whole avocado because not only do I get that great fat, that I also get fiber, which is wonderful for the gut. And another time we talk about gut health. But I also get vitamins and minerals. So when it comes to fat, if you want to go have your olive oil as part of your salad dressing, please, if you were doing 4 teaspoons before, maybe go for 1 teaspoon. If you cannot get rid of it completely. But reduce your oil, get rid of it if you can, but if you cannot, please reduce it to the bare minimum. So this is on fat. Let me pause here before I go into my second favorite, the white flour.
Really fantastic. It's really shocking statistics, Lynn. I'm sure most of us didn't know that it's going to be increasing at that exponential rate, like 1900, 1 bottle, now 2010, 19 bottles. I think it's really shocking data. Thank you so much for bringing in those numbers.
Now, let's talk about processed food and processing and what processing does to food. Imagine, have you ever seen wheat? Wheat naturally is goldish. Okay? Marie, le blé a une couleur dorée. Donc, comment est-ce qu'on passe de cette couleur dorée à la couleur blanchâtre qu'on nous vend dans les supermarchés? So, I'm saying wheat is goldish. How do we go from that golden color to white? Processing, bleaching. In the process, here's what is happening to the wheat, which by the way is good food. But the white flour, the white wheat flour has lost 80% of the B vitamins, 50% of the calcium, 70% of the zinc, and 90% of the fiber. No wonder we are all constipated after eating that, because without fiber, you don't have bowel movement. So that white flour out there is no longer food. What I am saying is they should give it to our children as Play-Doh, because they remove all the nutrients in it. Why are we eating it? So what it does now, it becomes bad carb, and you eat it, your insulin will spike, and you want to eat more because the insulin will crash, and you're eating more and more and gaining weight, and you're piling up on the fat, you're piling up on the saturated fat, and you're clogging up your arteries, and here is a heart attack, here is a high cholesterol, and here is a high blood pressure, and all the other chronic diseases that comes in the process. Let me stop here and see what Dr. Suren has to say.
Thank you, Celine. Yeah, it's really shocking. I feel like there's potentially no way to kind of, I mean, in a big sense, right? Most of the materials, I think, processed starting from 1900 till nowadays, year by year, I think it's losing the quality, right? So I think part of the reasons is also related to the overall quality of the food globally that we are consuming. So I would love to hear your thoughts also about kind of some objective factors that we basically don't have control over, right? So did you have an observation on like also that the quality of junk food and like overall it's also kind of changing from, let's say, decade to decade? What are your thoughts about that?
Well, you said it already, you mentioned already junk, but before I go there and answer, Sunday is on the floor here. Sunday, we're talking about the importance of wellness and to think about it like a business person as part of the disaster recovery plan. When you plan for something, you can have actions around it and you can do something about it in such a way that it doesn't come as a surprise and destroy you or your business. So Sunday, if you have a question or want to contribute, you have the floor.
It is really loud behind me right now, so I'm just going to listen for the moment. But if I come up with something, I will make it be quiet to be a part of this wonderful conversation. Thank you. This is Sunday, and I'm done.
Thank you very much for joining, Sunday.
Okay, to your question, you said the amount of junk food. So once we say it's junk, it doesn't get into our body. But here is the good news: we have 80,000 plants out there that are edible. We can go and eat them. And we can go and eat them as close to nature as possible. Nowadays, you have a lot of restaurants who are cooking nice food that are healthy, that are tasty. And when it comes to that food, you want to make it tasty and delicious with the spices and the herbs. There is hope. It's understanding what you choose to put in your mouth. Let me give you an example. I have a customer, once she realized that, oh, this is very bad, what she did is she always have in with her a banana and some carrots. So when she wants to munch and she feels like she wants something crispy, instead of going for the potato chips, she will go for the carrots.
Very nice.
The carrots is crispy. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's great. She's just like following healthy lifestyle.
Well, so she go off with that carrot. It's crunchy, it is sweet, and it gives her health because it's loaded with vitamin C and vitamin A for her eyes and all. And she has the banana there, so that she has the sweet, or she has an apple there. So you have alternative. And like anything else, if you want to go do it, you want to educate yourself and have a plan. Welcome, Larkin. We are talking about the importance of wellness and to think about it as a disaster recovery plan and include it in your disaster recovery plan. Did I answer your question, Dr. Suren?
Yeah, completely. Celine, thank you very much. So Larkin just joined us as a speaker. Larkin, would you like to introduce yourself? Maybe 15-30 seconds introduction.
My name is Larkin. I've been vegan for about 4 years. I also do drone photography, and that's all I got. I'm also a Kansas City, Missouri firefighter.
Very nice, thank you very much. Celine, would you like to provide a little bit more overview, like restart, like maybe Larkin would like to have some contribution for the topic?
Larkin, actually for you guys, firefighter, there is the son of Dr. Esselstyn. His name also is Esselstyn, who does some program for firefighters, for police people, policemen, to help them understand the relationship between their lifestyle and what they can do, that they don't have to go and eat a whole bunch of meat and animal products to stay strong. There is a movie, by the way, MGM. You may want to write that movie down. And in that movie, I don't know if you've seen it, it is called The Game Changer. It is a movie, a great movie that I think is made for men. And anybody who is a firefighter and who is a bodybuilder who wants to get into exercise should watch that movie, because he says it all. That you can eat healthy food and still develop your muscles and be strong. Put it that way. Look at the horse. The horse is a beautiful animal, strong, fast. What does he eat? Plant. Look at the gorilla. Is anybody stronger than the gorilla? What does he eat? Plant. The gorilla doesn't eat animal food. So you can be strong, healthy, with good, strong brain with your lifestyle. And usually, as you have seen, as soon as we start talking about lifestyle, it always drifts towards food. Food is important, but the other elements of the lifestyle are as important. You cannot just do the food and neglect your sleep, neglect your access to vitamin D, neglect your access to prayer, meditation, neglect working your relationship with others, neglect having fun, neglect nature. They all are as important. So Larkin, do you have a specific question we can help you with, or do you want to contribute something?
I didn't have a particular question, but I think you're hit around the head as far as like the analogy of a lot of firemen ask me, where do you get your protein from? Like, same place gorillas get their protein. But they didn't know gorillas don't eat meat, so then I had to enlighten them. Hey, gorillas don't eat meat, and they have plenty of protein. They have no issues on protein. I think the only thing I have an issue with is my water, my body fat. Like after one fire, I'm for the most part white. So I continuously throughout the day just chug water, and if I don't, I pay for them with muscle aches and whatnot. And in order, like you just said, I think you mentioned about mental health. As a fireman, you definitely have to meditate, go to a salt float, have fun. You got to be well-rounded in order to get through a whole day or a whole decade or even a career as being a fireman, and having mental health and spiritual health and actually have a healthy body, because most people, their body ages a lot faster than a normal person as being a first responder.
Thank you, Larkin. Very good contribution. And you mentioned one thing that is of the utmost importance. Water. De l'eau. This is so important. There is a doctor, actually, they call himself Dr. Bachman, who has done some work on the importance of water and depression. I even feel it. On days where I am not drinking enough water, I could feel my mood going bad. It doesn't matter how green the food you are eating is, how healthy, how organic, how whatever it is, you need to hydrate yourself. And hydration is not soda. Hydration is not coffee. No, you need water. You can have your herbal tea, that will count as water, but you need that good minimum 8 ounces of water in your system, because this is what is going to allow you to get the body going, the flow going, and avoid constipation and diseases like colorectal cancer that is plaguing the black community. What is his name? The guy who did Black Panther. My husband loves his name, Chadwick. Died from colorectal cancer. Well, they haven't linked it directly to constipation, but the research is showing more and more that the frequency chronic constipation in the long run will lead to colorectal cancer, which when you have anything, you're going to have it. And I'm going to switch some quickly and then talk about genes. Because some of you are going to tell me, oh yeah, but you know, I have high blood pressure in my family, I have high cholesterol in my family, or I have colorectal cancer in my family, or breast cancer in my family. Genes, you want to understand genes, the following simple sentence. Genes load the gun, and your lifestyle pull the trigger. What does it mean? You having the gene for a disease being in your family, means your risk of having that disease is high, but it does not mean that you're going to have that disease. Change your lifestyle, and you are going to give yourself a path for that specific disease. Genes, you are not your genes. The genes, you can divide genes in two. You have the dictator genes, the one that says you are going to have blue eyes. I don't care how much food you're going to eat, you're still going to have the green eyes. But the genes for the diseases, most of the time, it means that you have a high predisposition for having the disease. But watch your lifestyle, you are going to prevent those diseases. So something like colorectal cancer, if you have a predisposition and you go with those chronic constipation all the time, yes, you will make the disease. But if you go and eat a lot of fiber, and by the way, you find fiber solely in plants, and plants that are not processed, and fiber and water, you are going to go to the bathroom at least once a day and solve that chronic diseases and that high cost in your future. Let me pause here and reset the room for Harvey and Mirad. We are stating the following, that when it comes to your wellness, you should treat it exactly as all the other items in your disaster recovery plan. If you are a business owner, if you are an entrepreneur, or even if you are a professional. Why? Because if you don't do it today, you're going to pay for it one way or the other. From a business perspective, you can lose your main employee. For yourself, you can turn your wife into a widow. Or if you haven't paid for it in the short term, in the long term, you're going to pay for it. I am helping a friend nursing a heart attack after he spent his whole life working like crazy. What's the point of retiring and you cannot enjoy the fruits of your labor? So, if you have stories of people that you have seen who collapsed, who are not doing well because they didn't take care of their lifestyle when they were working and they're paying the prices now, if you have information on the importance of having a healthy lifestyle and you'd like to share, please come and share with us. I am Celine and I am done talking. So, Harvey, I'm going to invite you in there, and I would like, he's here. Okay. Okay, Harvey, you have the floor.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying. My mom and my grandmom has had heart disease, but what I have learned is that, as you said, you may have the gene for it, if that's the case, or you may it just may be something that you've grown up with family practices. If you practice eating the wrong foods and it's generational, those are foods that you've learned to eat and you've grown up eating and things of that nature. And if they're healthy, then you're going to bring that kind of stuff on your own, into your own situation. I recognize that, so I became a vegetarian in 1996. In that, I realized that although I became a vegetarian, I was lacto-ovo, or I am lacto-ovo. But I realized that for me, as I learned my body, I learned that like dairy, carbohydrates, sugars, those things are not good. So even though I may not eat meat, if you're eating all those other things, which I have eaten, are not good. And so I have begun the process of eating healthier foods, more vegetables, less sugars, less processed foods, and all of those other things. And because of that, people always say to me, "Oh, you look so young. Oh, and I don't catch colds haven't had a cold in I don't know how many years. I don't catch those things, and I practice as far as what you said, as far as lifestyle and working so diligently. It's nice to work, but there comes a time when you have to allow your body to recover. So people say that rest is overrated, and I say that rest is underrated, because if your body is not able to recover via rest, and you don't allow your body to recover via the food you eat, then we create situations for ourselves. And I've just got to a place where I refuse to create mess for myself. These days, I create life for myself. And it's a journey. It's a process. Because it's like I had to deprogram to reprogram, meaning that I had to learn to stop eating and doing the things that contributed to my demise, and learn to start doing the things that contributed to my health and well-being. And that's how I'm learning to live, and I practice every day. And again, it's a journey. I don't profess to be perfect, but it's a journey, and each day I get closer and closer to that journey, and I yield.
Oh, Harvey, thank you so very much. You shared so much important things that I'm going to summarize and stress. You mentioned the importance of rest, and you mentioned carb, and you mentioned the fact that it's a journey. So let me talk about carb a little bit. Carb, unfortunately, has a bad name. The word carb has been bastardized. So people, when they hear carb, they don't take the time to think, what are we talking about? Something as nasty as white sugar is called carb. Something as wonderful as sweet potato is called carb. They are not the same. It's two different things. White sugar is bad carb, quick carb, nasty carb, addictive carb, poisonous carb. Sweet potato is a vegetable. It has vitamins, minerals, fiber, water in it. It's loaded with plenty of fuel for your body. You cannot be exercising, lifting weight without eating sweet potatoes, the root vegetables. So people have to understand that the processed food, white flour is carb, it's bad, but wheat, I've shown you what wheat has. Wheat, the whole wheat has fiber, minerals like zinc, B vitamins, calcium, all of that thing. What's wrong with that? Nothing is wrong with that with the body. But the word carb has been so bastardized. So please make sure that when you say carb, you know which one you are talking about, so that we don't put in the same basket the nasty one and great food that happen to be carbs. So this is one. You mentioned rest. We will never talk enough about the importance of resting, sleeping. Now you have research done all over the place on the importance of sleep, and I'm just going to share the following acronym with you. Neuro. Neuro is the acronym that Dr. Scherzai, one of the doctors who specialize in Alzheimer, put together. Let's look at the neuro acronym. N for nutrition. E for exercise. U for what is called relaxation. I have to find the exact U. R is for rest. Resting. So sleep is important. It is very good to have a good sleep for your heart health, for your brain health, for your entire body, for your mood. Look at how irritated you feel when you don't get a good night's sleep. The other thing that you mentioned, Harvey, that is important is progress. As you start that journey of eating healthy or changing your entire lifestyle, one has to understand that it's about progress, not perfection. It's an everyday thing, learning and applying it slowly and rewarding oneself and applauding oneself and staying tuned with your body. It's a transformation. It is a journey. And it is a marathon. It is not a sprint. Thank you, Harvey, for bringing all of this back to the floor with us today. Sunday, do you have anything? Can you contribute now? Are you ready to contribute?
Oh, you must be reading my mind, because yes, I do. Earlier, when you guys brought up water, it is very exciting for me to share that in my entire life, I have never met the daily requirement of, amount of water intake for my body weight. And as healthy as I try to be and all the research that I know and understand, I could just never reach that goal for some particular reason. And in the last, I think I'm going on about 2 weeks now, I found that fasting a 16/8 for me is very, very helpful. And I was like, I don't know if I can do that because I have this thing called hanger, where if I get hungry, it's too late. Like, I'm so upset, and I could just be frustrated and grumpy and all these negative emotions because I think that I'm hungry. And what I've been realizing is that the trigger or signal inside of myself that I am equating with hunger and trying to feel with food is actually thirst. And that for some particular reason, the feeling seems to be the same. And so since I can't eat until 11 o'clock in the morning, every time I felt that, what I perceived as hunger, I am just drinking another cup of water and another cup of water, and I am doing amazing. In this last 2 weeks, I have had no hangry spells, and it just has improved my mood tremendously. Water is amazing. Sadly, we don't have the best sources of water, like even the access to it in some places. But where we do have an abundance of water, it's contaminated a lot of times, so we have to be careful with the sources that we're choosing. But water is amazing, and it has changed my life. This is Sunday, and I'm done.
Thank you so much, Sunday, for sharing the importance of water in one's life and what water has done to your life. So in 6 minutes, we're going to wrap up the room. So Sunday mentioned something very important, fasting. So fasting is wonderful. And if you're going to do fasting, and especially the fasting that you do days after days, I recommend that you do that in partnership with your medical doctor, and you have to know what you are doing. But I want to talk a little bit about intermittent fasting, which is the fasting that happened, the 16/8. So Sunday, here's what I tell my customers. I don't tell them to start fasting for 16 hours right away. It's as if I'm telling them that we're going to run a marathon, and on day one, you're going to run those 25K. This doesn't make a lot of sense. They haven't even bought the shoes. So I tell them that we're going to do the 16, but we're going to do that at their own pace. If it takes a week, a month, 6 months, a year, it doesn't matter as long as they do it. So I ask them to start on half-hour increment. You wake up, you eat at 7, start going to 7:30. Eat the food at 7:30, and by the way, I'm talking about customers who are eating the whole food, plant-based, no junk, no nothing. So they have cleaned up. I've taught them already how to clean up what it is that they put in their mouth. And then they do, by the time they reach the 16, the body is used to it. They've worked in partnership with the body so they don't experience hunger or hunger, the new word that is called, because they did it slowly, and the food that they put in their mouth is also a good fuel. So none of them has experienced that. So I don't know how you jumped into the 16. Did you do it too quickly, or did you ease your way into it? And what is the quality of the food that you are putting into your system with intermittent fasting? If you want to answer, go ahead. If not, it's okay also.
Yes, ma'am. I jumped right into it because I realized I really was not eating on a very regular schedule, or I wasn't having, how do I say this? I was already practically going long periods of times between eating and being what I perceive to be as okay. And my boyfriend, he's a personal trainer, he brought that to my attention when I told him I was curious about it. He's like, you go a long time without eating anyway, like you're not far off of this goal. And I never like paid attention to the clock and the time. And then when I thought about it, like if I eat dinner at 7 o'clock at night, I'm pretty much going to sleep just a little while after that. And so most of the time was in sleep. And when I would wake up in the morning, I would normally eat around 9 o'clock or so. And so pushing it from 9 to 11 wasn't like a ridiculously difficult thing to do. But it was the other question, the types of food I was eating. I am plant-based for the largest portion of my diet. I do consume some of the delightful vegan junk foods. And I have downloaded the Dr. Greger's app for the Daily Dozen because sometimes I can get eat into many of those processed vegan products, and I was trying to make sure that I'm getting the balanced amount of nutrients. And let me tell you, since I've been trying to meet the dozen, you run out of room to even indulge in some of those enjoyable things. And I'm just like, I'm not going to eat anything processed until I meet my dozen. And it's practically filled up my stomach and left me without the opportunity to even eat those things. So I might get one nice snack at the end of the day, like right before 7 o'clock. And that's how it's been going.
Thank you very much, Sunday, for sharing, and thank you for sharing your story. So it's 10:29. So I am going to give the floor back to Dr. Suren to talk to us a little bit about AI and disaster recovery.
Thank you very much, Celine. And thank you very much to Sandy, Larkin, Harvey, Marie for very interesting discussions. All our previous floor members and also the speakers were very interesting, and we got some shocking data and very informative. So this is really interesting room. Thank you very much again, Celine, for being with us. About just to keep it short and also interesting, I will tell you one story, also going back to Marie's discussion about like mental health and COVID happening. So what I realized, I think it was the beginning of the COVID hit, especially in US. So I was working with the Silicon Valley company. So the very first thing I brought to my partner, like I was C-level, like CMO, she was the CEO. So I told her that we basically need to cover the stories of entrepreneurs who are tackling the COVID and like just trying to make a big difference in the world, especially during that hard times. So I came up with this idea of COVIDpreneurs, like COVID plus entrepreneurs. So we started doing this hosting like interesting conversations with COVID entrepreneurs. And basically why I just brought this up as we're gonna talk about AI. So most of them were trying to actually integrate somehow the AI, IoT, and like the devices into somehow tracking the people who were infected by COVID and keeping the distance. So that was just kind of interesting story to bring. I think that was one of the unique things like we did for the whole world. Like we basically started COVIDpreneurs editorial. We featured I think 60-70 very top people, some from Forbes 30 under 30 and like others like multi-million-dollar businesses. So just what I learned also from them was that AI is definitely gonna play a huge role, because there are like a lot of connectable, trackable devices that you are wearing like during your day-to-day routine. And sometimes like the doctors are trying to integrate more precision into those devices. Like for example, all of us has like the Apple Watch or other trackable device that helps us during our daily routine. So one of the doctors, he tried like to make it more like a medical device. So he was trying to integrate like the very high precision into the small device that kind of looks like a Apple Watch, but it's not definitely like the watch only. It's very precise, like it connects to your heart rate and provides more data, and then it's directly connected to your personal doctor's computer, so the data is always transformative to your doctor. So if any issues like that's gonna affect your heart or some threat to COVID, your doctor is gonna see it directly. So just the final thought there is that I think AI and machine learning and this kind of unstructured and structured learning, it's everywhere. And the more we try to create some interesting apps and help feed the data with important pinpoints, the more and the faster AI and machine learning are gonna learn from all these actions, activities, and sooner we will get more and more benefits by using AI and other connected IoT devices in our day-to-day life. Yeah, since we have short time left, I would like to stop here and then hear your opinions, like about AI and machine learning. Like, how do you think it will affect our day-to-day life? Like, maybe we can start in order. Maybe Marie has some observations there, then Sandy, Larkin, and Harvey. Let's go kind of in clockwise order. Marie, would you like to start?
I would just ask, est-ce que tu es rassuré pour le futur? Que les choses vont aller dans le sens un peu, les entrepreneurs vont comprendre que c'est important de prendre soin de la santé de leurs employés.
Mary is saying that she is hopeful for the future, that entrepreneurs understand that, realize that they have to take care of their health and the health of their employees.
Very nice.
Merci, Marie.
Thank you very much, Marie. Sunday, do you have final thoughts to add?
That is, wow, I'm sorry. It makes me a little nervous when that kind of data collection is being compiled and not being sure of who is receiving that information. So I personally am just really hesitant to use those types of like products and measures. I'm sure it could have like a ton of benefits to help and make sure that we can see something coming and then try to help, be proactive. But with everything that's like really good about a new thing, there can just be some really dangerous uses to it. So I just, hope that the right people are using it for the right reasons. This is Sunday and I'm done speaking.
Great observation. Thank you very much, Sandy. Yeah, it's really, I think one of the biggest issues there is the data privacy. So we need to make sure that it's kind of transferred in it can be like blockchain or other way. I'm not saying like blockchain is the only alternative, but at least there is some sort of more or less transparency. You can understand like the servers are distributed in millions, tens of millions across the world. So it's practically almost impossible to hack the system and like steal your data. But I think, yeah, we have a long way to go there still to convince everyone like that it's safe. So I think that's one of the biggest hurdles that are just not letting it go faster. Because I also have AI business, so I can feel your thoughts. Like it's really about data and the privacy as well. Like it's a day-to-day struggle basically. Larkin, do you have some observations? I think Larkin. Yeah. Harvey, would you like to close the floor? I think we're running out of time also.
Yes. I am on both sides of the fence. I definitely, sometimes I think about, AI, and I appreciate the technology. In the same sense, the usefulness of it, I can also appreciate. My concern, again, is what Sunday said, as far as how it's being used, because in the same way, AI is a wonderful technology to monitor. I think that if in the wrong hands, per se, the insurance companies, they will use that to justify pre-existing conditions, which will then in turn keep those people who are actually participating in the technology, keep them out of the benefits of healthcare, and that in itself becomes a challenging situation. In that, In the idea of being an entrepreneur and this being a capitalist society, I respect, where the money can take us. But I don't feel like the healthcare industry is one of those industries that should participate in the idea of capitalism. And the only reason why I say that is because in the case of that, they place profits over the people, and so therefore the industry in itself is not set up for health. And when I say health, what I mean is this, it's one thing to keep somebody from being sick, but it's another thing to keep somebody from being to keep somebody well. So when you start talking about being well, then you start talking about health, not even medicines. Always use medicines. We're talking about medicines that will create wellness, and so that person doesn't have to keep repeating that illness. But in certain cases, in certain industries, in regards to health, it's like placing a Band-Aid. They don't stop you from the cut from happening. They just keep putting a Band-Aid on the cut. And some medications, I feel, does that. And so we have to be mindful that when we are talking about healthcare and the success of healthcare, we have to ask, is this industry helping me to get well, or are they just putting a Band-Aid on the existing cut? I yield.
Thank you very much, Harvey. Yeah, it's really very interesting. So I agree with like most of your thoughts. Like it is literally very important because there we have we're dealing with the human's life, right? So we need to be very careful, and like just small manipulation of data might easily cost the human's life. So obviously there are like a lot of issues. So we need to be very careful, like while trying to somehow bring AI to the system. It's just like I think you might even heard about the IBM's, like I think it was a Watson program. So they're just trying like to bring AI to the literature, like that kind of the IBM is reading that Watson software is reading the literature and trying to consult the doctors like during some sort of very complicated questions or operations, like how to deal with patients. But still, that's also, if you think about it, it's also scary, right? You don't know, like, so it's still in a kind of a, it's not used that much. It's just some doctors might consult with IBM. Just remember that, and remember that you might feel that's also dangerous, right? You never know. Like it just depends on the scalability, how much is tested, and what. But we need to be very careful, basically, implementing that in scale.
Doctor, I just want to say that the reason why I am in favor of AI to some degree, because my mom, she just had heart surgery, and they use AI technology to be, precise, and she had to, make sure that she could go through it, but she had heart surgery using AI, and it was to some degree successful, but they later had to go back in and redo other things because even though the use of AI was helpful, it didn't actually solve the issue that she was having, and so she had to have a second surgery on top of that. So that in itself makes me say, okay, I can see why AI could be used to be efficient in regards to making sure that certain things in place, but if it's not being completely helpful, then what purpose does it serve other than a paycheck? With all due respect.
Thank you very much, Harvey. Yeah, I see your point, and I completely agree. Especially you have a life case, literally helping with your mom. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, it's really hard. I'm just telling. Yeah, I completely agree. It's just in kind of the development phases. Like let's see how it develops, and then. But it's something that should be very much also under public control. Like we need to have very transparent data. How like these experiments are taken, and like what route these developments take place, right? So we have full control and understanding, so we don't risk our lives of trusting AI, or even the doctor plus AI might be dangerous, so you never know, basically.
I have a question.
Sure, Sandy, go ahead. Thank you.
I wasn't here at the beginning. What kind of doctor are you?
Doctor of Economics, Marketing. Yeah, and I have also technical education, like mostly Chief Technical Officer.
Okay. The conversation that you and Harvey are having is making me think about using artificial intelligence as far as people's health and wellness. I think is maybe the wrong step that our medical profession needs to be taking. I mean, I'm not sure why the education of human diet is not more involved in our medical education industry, and that is where the focus really needs to go. Because not that AI won't be awesome in helping pinpoint things and help surgeries go better and all of that kind of stuff, but if my doctor doesn't even know that I shouldn't have a greasy cheeseburger after abdominal surgery for a cancer patient, then how can I expect that any other tool that we're going to give to them at their disposal is going to be used to resolve issues instead of putting another bandage on it, which goes back to the capitalist model that we're just finding out, how and when to prescribe people with things that's going to just keep them alive enough to keep churning the dollars, instead of knowing that if you change the way you eat and drink, you may not even need that surgery to begin with.
Suren, I'll handle that one. Sunday, you have a great point. When it comes to healthcare, we have to handle it from all the different aspects, the different phases. You have the prevention phase, and you have sick and you have terminal phase. Do you know that 80% of our healthcare money is spent in the 30 days of life and in the last 30 days of life? This is where the bulk of the money is going. So the use of the technology we need the technology to help, but we also need the education of our doctors, and most importantly, we need the education of the population at large to understand that the answer is in their lifestyle, that with the right lifestyle, they can prevent and or reverse the chronic diseases. But when you are doing that prevention, AI and technology has its place. For example, I was talking about exercising, okay, and making sure that my heart rate is going at the right level. So imagine, and I always wear a heart rate monitor to measure it, and I measure my blood pressure because it is something, we call it the silent killer, because it doesn't give any indication until it's too late. I need the technology to be there, and if the AI takes that and gives that to my medical doctor, and the AI look at what I am doing with my heart rate, exercising, and where my blood pressure is going, and combining it with the quality of sleep I'm having, maybe we can detect some of those pathologies earlier before it's late. So, and we can talk more, Suren, we need to have another room just on that. Now, on AI and privacy, here is my personal philosophy. The day I decided to have a passport, the day I decided to have a credit card, the day I decided to buy services from somebody, I knew I have given away 89% of my privacy, if not all of it. So now it is my responsibility to behave in such a way that whatever I am doing doesn't come back and hurt me. It is annoying, it is what it is, but this is what it is. You use a credit card, from a credit card perspective, and everything, anytime you buy it, I know what it is that you bought. I used to have the team for the data scientists. I can take all of this data and have a profile of you. I can sell it to the insurance company. I don't have to call it AI, but it's there. So when it comes to our privacy, the day we made the choice to use certain things, we've made the choice without knowing to give away our privacies. And I'm going to let Joseph talk about that and
Oh no, I'm I'm just flashing my mic. I'm just clapping. I'm listening along. I'm here to support all the speakers, especially here, Celine. What a wonderful person. And I'm done speaking.
Thank you very much. Just really appreciate you being with us. Celine, would you like to close the room like with final thoughts, maybe quote or some interesting idea that you have?
Okay. Actually, I have a song that I like. Next time I'll cue it. I got the power. I just want to let each one of you
Great.
know that when it comes to your health, okay, Suren, cue it in and we'll play it before we exit if you have the time to do that. When it comes to our health, we have the power. When it comes to where we want to take our businesses, our employees, we have the power. We have the choice. And the answer is in the lifestyle. Nobody will force you to change that lifestyle. It is your choice. You have the power. So if you cue that one in, we have to go in there and remember, we have the power. I am Celine. I am done talking. And please, this is the first time we try to bring wellness in the forefront for founders. And thank you very much, Suren, for what you're doing for founders. And for this generous offer to let founders know that their health is as important as the bottom line of the company. And oh, by the way, that health will determine also the bottom line of the company. And I usually don't do that, but this Startup Battles Club is a wonderful club. So please go ahead and follow it and follow people that said something that you think resonated with you, and definitely follow Dr. Suren, who is a brilliant mind. So with that said, Suren, I'll give you the last 10 seconds to say something or cue the music or do something about it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Celine. You're just making me blush, really. Yeah, so we are really caring about the quality and like the importance of the topics. So I was really honored to host today, Celine. I think we need to start making some changes as well, right? So we started the very first experiment like with VR talk show. So I would be very honored like to have Celine or any of you guys, like if you have interesting topics, just send us. Like we have official startupbattles@gmail.com email. So my team will quickly handle all the requests, and if any of you are interested also in that kind of futuristic discussions, we are under your disposal. Like we want to help you, your business, so we'll create for you like VR space with custom build like monitors like that you can advertise your business also in the VR space with your VR avatar. So I think that's gonna be great. Celine, if you would love, I would ask my team to start working on it starting from tomorrow. They will already start arranging the room. So if that's something interesting, just let me know. I will be honored to do that for you. Thank you very much, for being here today with us. So I think we are out of time for 20-25 minutes. So if none of you has any questions or anything, we would probably close the room. Anything to add, Celine?
Okay. So let's destroy that room. 9. That gives you time to follow the speakers, by the way. You have 10 seconds to follow everybody in the club. So 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 et 0.
Okay, I am back.
Celine?
Yes, I am back.
Great. Let me